Hello, 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 and welcome to the Drag Race Recap here on reality TV RHAPups. I'm your host, Liana Boraas, and today we are going to talk about episode 11 of RuPaul's Drag Race All-Stars Season 8. We are almost at the finish line, and I have, of course, our fabulous panel here to close things out almost in the penultimate episode of All-Stars 8. First, it is Aman Adwin. Aman, how are you?
I'm well. This was fun. This was a good episode. I enjoyed this. I was like not entirely sure how they were gonna work this out, and also not entirely sure how the finale episode is gonna look. But now we have context on that, so yeah, I'm excited.
Yes, and we'll get into all of those details with Aman and also Beth Dixon. Beth, how are you?
I'm doing great. I enjoyed getting to see all the queens come back and put on a talent show, and we finally get the reading challenge. So I was very excited about that.
Yes, yeah. So we have two major highlights to talk about. The reading challenge, of course, but the maxi challenge this week was the variety extravaganza where all of the queens got to come back. And as we had sort of been speculating, this was essentially a Fame Games episode, although Candy and Jimbo did perform, but it was more of like a bonus performance. It didn't seem to necessarily factor into, at least in the wins losses category for their final resume of the season. So Aman, where do you want to start? You want to start with the appetizer, or you want to jump right on into the entree?
Sorry, it's still kind of.
Is that voice a little rough from Beyonce?
Oh, maybe that's the real highlight.
That's what we should start with. This is okay. Forget the Fame Games. We'll talk about the real Fame Games. Aman went and saw Beyonce. We have to hear about this. How did it go?
I forgot that I hadn't talked about it on this show because I talked about it on the
draft.
The draft that I did.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Aman.
I will literally start crying again if
I.
Listen,
it was so good, guys. It was so good. Like, I've just sort of been like floating around for like the past few days. It was everything that I wanted it to be and more. I was so close to the stage too, and I could like it. It took like forever for me to realize like that's her. Like that.
Yeah. You're in the same space.
Like,
yeah.
And it was just to be like surrounded by that many other fans. And everyone was just like freaking out just as much as I was. And like, I fucking met Jonathan Groff because he was at the concert too. Yes. It was before the show even started. I was standing there and I was like, I think that's Jonathan Groff. I was like, oh no, it's not Jonathan. Like he's gotten money. He's probably like closer to the stage. But then I was like, no, him. And then my friend was like, do you want to say hi? I was like, no, leave him alone. He's here like the rest of us. Leave him alone. But he was like, Aman, like you're excited. Like this is a moment. Like go up to him. I was like, no, just leave him alone. But then he was like, I'm going up. I was like, no. Before I could stop him, he went over and like tapped him on the shoulder. He was like, look, my friend's like a really big fan. Can he just say hi? And Jonathan was like, of course. And he was like, come over here. And I got the chance to meet him and take a picture with him and give him a hug and everything. It was just. Jasmine Sullivan was there because she's also famously from Philly. She wasn't in my section, but like the Jumbotron kept, putting the camera on her.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like Kevin Alliance was there, who's, obviously on the album as well. Like it was just, oh man, like it just really felt like just this like cathartic ass party that I really needed. It just felt so good. And like she does this thing. I don't want to soft spoiler. At the end of the show, she gets in like this harness and like flies over everyone. And like it's sort of like the curtain call of it all. And she flew directly, like she was like as high as the highest point of my ceiling is. That's how close she was to me. I was just like, oh my God.
Aman, I would have looked at my friends and been like, lift me up.
Raise me.
Oh my God. That is so incredible. I am so excited that you had that experience because you just think about like how much is going on in the world. And I think all of us need an experience where we can completely lose ourselves in it. And I'm so thankful that you got that with I can't believe I think I described Beyonce in my tweet about you as like your omnipotent ruler or something like that. But so excited. I mean, I've never been to a Beyonce concert, but I would have a hard time believing anybody does a show better than her.
It's like I try like not to be too hyperbolic when I'm talking about Beyonce, but I truly believe that she's one of the greatest living entertainers that we have right now. And it's just, I don't know, it's just like such a like when you know that you're witnessing something really, really good, it just feels good to be there for it and to like be later down the road, be like, I was there. So it's just, I haven't even taken the wristbands off. They're still here. Like, it was so good. And like, I'm trying to be financially responsible, but a piece of me is like, damn, I feel like I want to buy one more Club Renaissance ticket somewhere else. But yeah, like I would highly recommend for those of you that still have a chance to see her, you don't have to break the bank, get a nosebleed ticket for like $100 and just go and like just see the show. It was so good. It was very, very good.
That would be Aman's talent in the talent show. He would be like, let me describe in detail my experience. I will make you feel what I felt.
It reminds me, Aman, have you ever seen the Superfruit video where they're breaking down one of Beyonce's performances where it's Scott Hoying and Mitch Grassi chatting about, like, this was years ago. I mean, this would have been like 2014 or something like that. Where they're like, we're going to break down every moment of this, performance of hers on tour. And like, how can you not say she's the best? And like all the stuff. And I'm getting the same vibes from you and I'm loving it.
Yeah, it's just when you know someone has like really, really dedicated so much of their time or soul to a craft, and it's famous first. Like she's been famous for most of my life. Like, she's been in the game for like the longest time. So it's just all of that hard work pays off, and she sounded so good.
I love it.
I was like,
oh no,
I knew.
The internet can't handle it.
All right. You guys got drag to talk about.
The thing is I could see him fine, but he'll just like the sound will sometimes bounce out. But no, so thankful you had that incredible experience, Aman.
Yeah, Aman, your audio is going in and out.
See if I can fix it.
Okay, well let's hop back to drag. Beth, what were your highlights from this episode?
I mean, it was fun to see a reading challenge. I'm very thankful that Kasha Davis won something. I was really excited about that. And I think the highlights, honestly, in general, like there were quite a few performances that I just thought were like such a great showcase of what these queens are about, especially since, this is a season where we have a lot of queens who maybe left earlier in their season and then left early in this season as well. And because we didn't get a variety show challenge in the beginning of the season, like we have traditionally done with All Stars, it's been pretty great to see, them come out, do their thing, and then say, this is why I'm one of the best in the world. And I like it.
I agree with that. It felt like a celebration episode. Although it was weird because it was overlaid with this weird voting multiplier thing, which I feel is completely unnecessary. Just give the queen some money and move on. Like you're telling me that you're going to give the winner a 5-time vote multiplier. Like, why? What? Like, I just don't, that absolutely made no sense to me. I actually really hated that. But apart from that, I liked everything else in the episode.
Well, it did sound like when they were presenting it at first, it sounded like they were just going to stuff the ballot, which I guess they kind of are anyway. They were like, they're going to get a big advantage in their votes. And I was like, does that mean like you're going to get officially endorsed by the show? Which I guess this kind of is like,
right. Or like you get 5% of the total votes like extra added to your thing.
Right.
I don't know. The multiplier though is absolutely ridiculous, to be 100% honest. Like a 5-time multiplier was an option. I understand that none of the queens got that, but still.
I really think it should have been all 2 times with like 1 3-time on the board or something like that. But at the end of the day, I kind of feel like this is a popularity contest anyway, and there are, I don't know. I just think it's really hard to sit back and say like anything that's going to be fan votes is going to be 100%.
Well, I'm fine if there's like, okay, so you can hire bots or whatever because you like just need an email address to cast votes. But like, I kind of want to see the results of the botting.
Right.
You're going to do that. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know. I don't want to have to do the math. You know what I mean? I don't have to divide Lala Ree's votes by 3.
Oh my God. Times 3, divide by this, square it, and then drag math. Great.
Drag math. Aman, we were just talking about the wheel multiplier that was.
Oh yeah.
What are your thoughts on that as a mechanic?
I kind of like that to sort of, you know, I mean, I guess like you want it to land on a queen that that maybe potentially won't get as many votes as the rest, just to sort of like even the odds a little bit. And I don't necessarily know if that happened 100%. Because I mean, Lala Ree is already, you know, a really, really, you know,
a front runner.
Everyone loves her. But James Mansfield definitely, like, having the times 2 multiplier definitely is going to help her out. So, I kind of liked that sort of extra boost in there. It was fun.
Here's my issue: they should have spun the wheel once, and that was what they both got, because James Mansfield, from what I'm seeing, is likely not going to get as much as Lala anyway, and now she's definitely not going to get as much. But I will say, like, this is maybe jumping the gun, the boom boom gun and the Gia gun language a little bit, but I don't think she should have won anyway. So I don't know.
Yeah, it was definitely. She was having Jimbo moments on the stage where she slipped one time, and I was like, and some of the high kicks that she was giving were a little. But then I was like, is that part of the character? Maybe she's just being a little. I'm like, you know, messy, but I don't know. So.
I definitely think that, like, I don't think that she's out there thinking that she's, you know, a kahana who can, you know, perform and do flips and such. But I also, I mean, I just watched it being like, this would be me. If I were performing, I would be the one who did a kick that was like, oh, it didn't even come to your chest. Okay, got you.
I mean, she does have those big ass boobs, like, so, like, you know.
I also understand that. Yeah,
it's hard, you know. I mean, I feel like towards the end of it, especially when they started to like sort of like collaborate a little bit, it like she started to do a little better. But yeah, Lala was definitely like hitting it a little bit more. So
the Lala Ree experience was in full effect.
Yeah, I still wanted them to do the jumping part of the choreography. Like, I know that you're not really supposed to like do the choreography for the music videos, but like every time you get to that point, I just wanted to do the rain on. Like I just like keep seeing it in my head.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, for the lip sync. I mean, for Rain on Me to be the lip sync song, first of all, I was very excited about that.
Yes.
So yeah, I thought that was amazing. Then when James was announced as the winner, right? Because it goes James, oh, and Lala, you're also a winner. I was like, really? That's the moment I was like, yes. That they're giving it to James because they know James is going to get lower fan votes, so they want to give her the multiplier. Like I was like going through all of this in my head, but I do wonder if because of their foreplay together during the performance of the song that Ru felt like just give it to both of them. I don't know.
I mean, because we're fairly certain that what do you call that thing? Wheel.
The wheel.
The wheel.
We're fairly certain that thing is rigged. So like I'm like.
Yeah, we didn't see the full wheel. We just saw where it landed. So very well, Bruno could have been like,
like, I feel like they should have just given the ×3 to James Mansfield to make it more interesting. Because Lala still, even with the ×2, or just give them both ×3, and it kind of like sort of like nulls the entire thing. But yeah, whatever. Like it's for a secondary crown, which is still fun. But It is what it is.
Listen, As Sunday Riley said that she had been watching the entire season, was so stoked by it, even though we are 1,000% certain this was recorded before the show even aired. All of them have been doing great on social media and that kind of thing. But I don't know. I generally am just thankful that we had an episode where they can just kind of show off their stuff. I don't know if it'll make a difference in how people are voting, but
have you been seeing the smear campaign tweets from
Darian? So good.
I love Darian Lake. She's so
I gotta be honest. I was like, I haven't voted yet, but I'm like, I might need to give Darian these votes.
You got to get on it because like voting ends like tomorrow. It's like crazy.
It ends. Yeah, it ends on the 16th. So depending on when you're listening to this, the voting might already be closed.
True.
All right, and go ahead and do it right now.
Yes. And Darian. Yeah. So Darian has been dropping these. What's her hashtag?
Hashtag smear campaign.
Smear campaign. Yeah, for various queens, and they're all really funny and clever. And some people have clapped back, like James has clapped back, which was pretty funny. Her response was made me laugh as well. Yeah, James like retweeted it and said something. Yeah, so it's all on Twitter, and so that's okay. I'm like, I have a million thoughts. I'm tempted where to go. Like, let me just start with like my gut. Obviously, vote for whomever you want. I've been so impressed with Darian. I think both in Untucked, when we got to re-see all the looks, I was like, oh yeah, that's why she kept getting buzzed for, the Queen of the Fame games, because she's sort of like exactly the person that you would hope would win. Someone who went out early, but who was still slaying it on the runway, had a lot of really great ideas, like the Snow Bunny look, which I keep going back to, I think is super clever. And then is also killing it on social media with like putting forward this very cohesive, unified, hilarious campaign. So she's like, in my mind, the person who should win for all of those reasons.
Is criteriaing. Yeah,
exactly. She checks all the boxes. And so that's like what my gut is feeling, even though like, of course there is the popularity element to it. And I would like Lala to get her flowers. I want Jessica to get her flowers. But in terms of the criterias of the Fame games, I would give it to Darian for me personally. But
I mean, like, I'm not like the biggest Jessica Wilde fan as I've come to discover as many other fans are. I mean, I love her down. She's amazing. But like Darian's little smear was kind of like working on me. I was like, you know what? You're right. She did win quite a few. She's won some coin. Like she's gonna be okay. So like, maybe I should give it to somebody else.
Well, I also love that Darian's using like knowledge that the fans necessarily wouldn't know. Like the fact that she knows like Mrs. Kasha Davis has 2 Teslas and a beautiful home with a loving husband. How much more does she need? Like, and you're like, and she's like, me, I'm alone and nobody loves me.
It's just my cat. I was like,
it's just my cat. Which is so funny because on the show she was like, no, I'm kind of just content being by myself. Like it is great.
So what is the truth, Darian?
Yeah, what's the truth, Darian? Come out. No.
I think I like the one about Naysha Lopez too. Have you seen Naysha Lopez's boyfriend? She's won enough in life. That was so good.
So good. And then there was something, was it Monica, that she was like, have you seen how beautiful and new these outfits are? She doesn't recycle. She doesn't care about our environment. Therefore, you should vote for me. It's so good. Darian, I think the point of the Fame game should be somebody who can bring a perspective of drag that is very popular, but isn't necessarily the platform that wins Drag Race. Like, I love Darian. She was never going to win season 6, and no offense, like I knew she wasn't going to win this one as much as I wanted to root for her, because she has a campy, not high fashion, but also interesting point of view, one that is very popular among local queens and like the history of drag in the United States. And it's just, I don't know. It's not like necessarily like she wasn't going to win the runway when you were up against like the Kahanas and Naishas and those of the world, or even a Jimbo who is going to have another kind of out there perspective, but Jimbo also can sew and those kind of things. So I don't know. Darian for me did get, I kind of split it out a little bit, which is probably not the smart thing to do, but I gave her 5 votes and then I gave 1 vote to 5 other queens. That's what I did.
Yeah. I feel like I agree with that a little. Like it's like more in this we've been in this era of Drag Race where, and it's like Drag Race is just like any other reality TV show where they're going to try to get the fan base to be a little younger and, you know, try to bring in more people, especially now that it's on Paramount Plus, because a couple years ago we saw like that big ass like press release from CBS and Paramount Plus about like how they know that their core audience is like older people, like 50s into the boomer era. And they've been saying like, we need to get more content here to get, and us. We need to get more content in here so that, you know, we had younger people here. So I feel like with Drag Race, as we talked about many, many times, they're going to start casting queens that not are just younger, but also queens that just understand more of like what is popping nowadays. So and Darian, while I wouldn't say that Darian is like just some old broad out on her porch saying, get off my lawn. Like, I'm like, it's not that bad, but like she obviously represents like, you know, an era that's maybe not like what people most think of nowadays.
Well, in the words of Bianca Del Rio, when the point of no return came up as the lip sync song, she goes, I know Miss Darian had this on 8-track when it came out, you know, like, you know, so my money's on her. Like, I mean, she's an established queen.
Right.
Well, wasn't one of the reads about her, you should hang up your clothes alongside your career or something like that? Was that about Darian? Yeah.
And she was like, ow.
Okay. All right. So we'll move on from this and talk about the performances, but there's one more Darian like tweet I want to read, and I don't know why, but this one is really sending me. So this one's about Kahana. She already has a job working for RuPaul's Drag Race live in Vegas. Sounds like insider trading to me. What's the truth at Kahana Montrese? Showgirl? More like show your tax returns, girl. I don't know why, but that's really funny. It's stupid, but I like the play.
Show us the tax returns, bitch.
It's so good. That's so good.
Okay. Let's get into the nitty gritty of all of the performances. The judging essentially was a nothing burger this week. Everybody got positive critiques, so who cares about that? Let's talk about our feeling and who we would have put in the top for this week. Jimbo and Candy are doing the hosting, although we can talk about their performances at the end. But let's go through in order, starting with Monica Beverly Hills. Beth, what did you think about her performance?
I definitely was happy to see that, you know, she was a little bit more in her element where she had a little bit more control. I still like, she's not like, she doesn't necessarily perform with her eyes a little bit. It still kind of felt like sometimes it was like a deer in headlights while everything else was moving and flowing and being sexy. But I also soaking the clock.
Oh, not a soul can clock.
Okay. I could not understand what she was saying.
The audio mixing was horrible.
Yeah. No, it was really bad. And I mean, she repeated it like 50 times and I still was like, soaking the clock. So I was like, I couldn't. Then
come out. Do we know?
A soul can clock. Yes, slay. I think so. First of all of these performances were super short, right? Like a minute, but a hard minute. It felt
unless I felt like Lala's went on for 3 minutes. It was amazing. Like very well could have been like that was real, or it could have been like, oh no, there was just so much that it felt like it lasted longer. I felt like Monica. I was really thankful for her to come out. And like, first of all, she is stunning. I know I've said this before when, you know, in the first episode, but like she came out and like both out of drag and in drag, I was like, she's really pretty. She's really pretty. I like looking at her.
She looked so much more confident this time in the performance than she did in the very first episode. So that was really nice to see. I'm happy that she got positive feedback. I felt like the fact though, that the song was like half intro, half performance really did her a disservice because you kind of missed the first half was just her kind of in the set design, which was cool, by the way, just kind of like walking in the set design, but didn't really like do much for the performance. So if you only have a minute, like you got to pick, you know, something where it's explosive kind of the whole time.
Yeah. The performing, oh my goodness, the performing of like original songs and lip syncing to them on Drag Race is sort of a dime a dozen these days. So you really have to make sure that you are giving it to the girls, or else it's going to automatically seem like it's just less. And I feel like Monica, like you said, Beth, doesn't really perform with her eyes, and it just feels a little low energy. And it's like, I don't know if she's got anything going on. So like, I don't ever want to be too harsh with queens when it comes to stuff like this. But yeah, it just unfortunately, like when you put it up next to someone like La Reese or even Candies, it's like I don't want to talk shit about your song, like, you know, because it's like any other drag song. You know what I mean? It's fun. It's silly. It's campy. It's fun. It's simple, easy to remember. But you just got to give me the energy has to be there in order for it to really work.
She was in her element when she was interacting with the backup dancers. When she did stuff like that, that's where she came alive. So I think that if she kept that in mind moving forward, it'd be really fun. Like interact with the audience, interact with different things. I think that she'd get a lot of personality that comes through her entire body, and not as stiff maybe. But I thought, regardless, she's beautiful. Hair.
She is beautiful.
Naisha is up next, and
speaking of beautiful,
yeah, oh my gosh, and does flamenco dancing or some variation on that, and because I'm not an expert, I don't know. I saw some critiques of it that it was like a warm up to flamenco dancing, but I was happy nonetheless.
Not a warm up, damn.
Yeah, look. I was happy nonetheless to see something different, and I think also just like her stage presence is so like she just owns that stage. And I think seeing her come out, it was just a reminder of this is why drag race does not, a good queen does not mean that they will do well on Drag Race. Like Naisha, I think is absolutely stunning, does so well with the other girls, like presents always such a cohesive, unified package, but just Drag Race is just seemingly not the show for her. So to have her be able to come back and be that badass bitch was just really refreshing.
And it was also just refreshing to see her, like, because I've been following along with the Roscoe's videos too, and obviously she is the host there, and it's just nice to see how she navigates, you know, whatever negative feelings that she might be having about the competition, the production, getting eliminated early. She never really lets you have it like that. She's always been like really, really gracious and just a joy to listen to and a joy to just, you know, have as that continuous voice throughout the season. So I've definitely become so much more of a Naisha Lopez stan over the past couple of years, even before she was even on this season. So she was great. She's great.
Yeah, I thought it was really sexy, and I really loved. I'm always a fan of something that. No, I want to preface this by saying that I understand there's a lot of talent that goes into creating a song and then lip syncing it. So I'm not like trying to bash that because that takes a lot of different skills. But I always love when somebody does something different, or somebody does something cultural, somebody does something that just is different from the rest of the group. And so I really enjoyed her. She was definitely towards the top for me. She wouldn't have been in my top 2, but she would have been maybe like 3rd or 4th for me.
It's a variety show. You want to see some variety.
Correct.
Right? I get that sort of, especially now that we've seen the talent show so many times that you kind of look for something different. And Aman.
I was just gonna say I'm always still like a little nervous whenever people do cultural things on Drag Race, only because my mind just always goes back to season 11 with Soju. And she was like, this is a traditional, you know, Korean wedding dress. And Michelle is just like, that's lovely, but girl. Because you never want to like be disrespectful, but at the same time, it's like, come on now, sis.
Yeah.
Oh man. The next performer, we're going to move on to Miss Kasha Davis, who does lip sync to her own song, but has a super unique take. And I really liked this. I think because I'm all for my political girlies, so go for it. That I am super, super happy with. Also, she got to plug her books, which I'm also very happy about, and got to plug that with Ru. Go get your coin.
Yes.
And to just have, such a, like, I don't even know, like metal. It was like, I guess metal.
A metal rap?
A metal rap?
Rock
yeah,
rap.
I don't know what genre I would call it, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Oh yes. It was great. It was great. You know, it's always good to hear these messages on Drag Race, and sometimes we get them ad nauseum on Drag Race to the point where it can be just a little bit too overly saccharine. But sometimes you get that right temperature where it's like not too preachy. It's just truth. It's just like, yeah, bitch, like we're in a really effed up position right now with the world. Like we all got to get it together. We all need to get it together. Like, come on. But you know, she made it entertaining. The choreography was fun. Her look was fun. The backup dancers were fun. The juxtaposition from her normal, oh, Mrs. Kasha Davis, into the was, and then back to that was like the perfect sandwich. It was a lot of fun, and I definitely wanted to place her towards the top, and not just because of like what she was saying, but how she delivered it in such a concise and fun and fresh way.
Yeah, it was like an Oreo cookie, right? Where you got like the Kasha Davis that the sandwich cookie, but like the inside was like, ooh, this is something I didn't expect. I should say it's like an Oreo cookie that has like one of those weird flavors they come up with like all the time. Where you're like, this is actually strangely pretty good. Like this is the peanut butter and jelly one or
candy
something.
One.
Yeah, or something like that.
Fish.
Where you're like, this is what I expect.
Fish Oreo?
I think so,
Ooh,
right?
I mean, I wouldn't be shocked.
Maybe that was photoshopped.
I'm about to buy some right now if they have it.
Oh no. But I've been a Kasha Davis fan for years, as y'all know. And she has always been very political, but not in the sense of like divisiveness. She's always political in the sense of like, here's what the reality is, but we need to come together and respect and have kindness and that kind of thing. And I just
a limited edition.
Sorry. Okay, yeah, I sent the link in the chat
too. That is a long link in the chat.
Look.
Hello.
Google be Googling.
Google be Googling. But no, I was really happy, I mean, not that this would have been the case when she was filming this, but over the past couple of weeks, New York State, one of the quote unquote most liberal states, the Republicans are trying to ban drag story hour here and are trying to do these different things. And she's one of the faces of upstate New York, period, when it comes to drag. But I would argue, when I think of drag queen story time, I think of Kasha Davis because of the impact she's made. Like, she really started a lot of those projects in Western New York, and a lot of her tweets are regarding that. So for me, it was just kind of great to see her come on and say like, yeah, I'm going to promote my books, but she's somebody who pours back into the community. We know her story. We know that she wanted kids, but she didn't want to have them. But then she married a husband who had kids, and that, she's just somebody who cares very deeply about perpetuating kindness and teaching the next generation inclusivity. So having a song that you don't expect from her, that's even just a little bit campy. The outfits are campy. She's throwing wigs around. She's going bald on stage. She put another wig back on. Like, those aspects, it was fun. And I actually put her in my top 2. I really enjoyed it. And maybe it's just a biasy, but I loved it.
Yeah, I put her in my top 2 also when I was going back through. I think for so many reasons. And then I was like, oh my God, am I gonna vote for Kasha for the Fame Games? But
I gave her a vote.
She has 2 Teslas, so she's fine.
She's fine. She's good. Thank you, Jerry.
Also, her husky is gorgeous. Max, I've seen her post photos of her walking Max for years now, and every time I see him, I'm like, oh, Max.
Darian is up next and does a stand-up routine, and I will say, I think broke the stand-up routine curse, because for most of the people who try to do this for the talent show have bombed or just not performed well. So I want to give her flowers for that. I wouldn't have put it in the top, but I do think that the level of difficulty for this Aman was just so much higher.
Yeah, I mean, stand-up it's tough. We know it. And I wasn't worried about Darian Lake, because when I heard that she was gonna do it, I was like, oh, she's one of the girls. I'm like, she's got it. We know she's funny. We know that she can come up with a few jokes here and there. So I was like, I think she'll be okay. It was interesting because I did notice during the routine, I was like, there are a lot of fat jokes here. So I'm like, I think, which is fine. However she wants to, talk about herself, that is completely fine. It's comedy. It is what it is. All things are sort of up for grabs. And then when what was the judge's name? Ego Wadham. Yeah. Yeah, she was like, I feel like you don't need to be the punchline anymore, because we're looking at you like you're this bad bitch. And I'm like, I kind of agree with her, but I kind of don't, because I'm like, if that's what she wants, if that's the route that she wants to take, then let her have that power. But at the same time, it's like maybe there is constructively maybe there is like something, a little bit of truth to, you need a little bit more variety with the jokes. And maybe we didn't see everything because we know Drag Race sort of, edits a few things out, but most of the jokes that we did get were fat jokes, and the piece of me was like, okay, these are all funny, but like give us a little bit more, you know what I mean? So yeah, it was I think she did a really good job, but I can also understand why she wasn't like up there. So
yeah, I'm totally with you, Aman. I really felt like it was also like I was just waiting to see, like, the judges kind of were put in a bad position too, to be like, how can I judge this without sounding fat phobic or
Right.
whatever, right? You can't be like, but look at you now, you look beautiful, because then that's implying that like fat people can't be beautiful, right?
And it's all like patronizing, and it's like how do I compliment this? Like, what do I do?
Which is why I like what Ego said, because she was saying like, hey, like, look at how much of a bad bitch you have with your confidence now, because that was something that was definitely lacking with season 6, and we saw that insecurity a lot with how it. Even though I kind of agree with Darian a lot of the time with her against Ben de la Creme in season 6, but we definitely saw the insecurity come out. We had conversations with her in season 6 where, Courtney Act is saying like, you can absolutely find somebody who will love you for who you are in your shape now. Like, that is not going to stop you from finding somebody who will love you, but it all comes from the inside, right? But I also would say like, it's also really easy for someone like Courtney Act to say that. So,
Courtney of all people.
Yeah, Courtney of all people, stop relying on that body. But I definitely think like what I liked about it was that she ended by having it wasn't a joke at the end. It was a very just like an inspirational thing. So it kind of had this like, yeah, I'm being self-deprecating, but I'm also like trying to show that like you can have confidence, as you just have to invest in yourself.
I'm like 95% sure though that the ending bit was from the B movie, because the opening monologue of the B movie is like, against all known laws of aviation, there's no way a bee should be able to fly. Like, and then it's like something about like its wings are too small for its fat little body to get off the ground or so. And I was like, is she quoting the B movie? Which I'm not mad at, because it's actually
I've never seen the B movie.
Well, I've never seen the B movie either. So why do I know this? Because it became like this internet meme in certain like areas. That's just so for some reason that's why I know that. Anyway,
I will never watch that movie again. Quick side note, like,
wait, why?
I experimented with a tincture of THC, which I didn't know was super duper strong. And I just sort of like squirted the entire like pipette into my mouth, which I don't recommend. Stay in school, kids. Don't do drugs. And then I came downstairs because my roommates were watching B movie. Like, I'll watch B movie, and then I'm sure that movie on sober is crazy, but when you are that sky high.
Isn't it like Nicolas Cage is a bee or something like that? Who is it? Jerry Seinfeld?
It's Jerry Seinfeld. I kind of want to try that now.
Oh my God. It was the most trippy thing imaginable.
Stop giving me ideas, Aman.
I know. I'm like, I think I have evening plans now.
Like I felt like everything had a deeper meaning, had a deeper meaning. It was like,
but that's
I need to stop. I just wanted to stop. I was like, this movie is insane. Why am I idolizing it like this? Like, oh my God.
Oh man. What is it with us podcasters and bees? Because like my whole thing was I thought bee boxes were filing cabinets for drugs in the middle of fields. So like I didn't realize that they were bee boxes.
I forgot about that. Yeah, they're like drop off points, right? Or something.
Yeah. If I
ever
ever decide to have a career change where I just go into like, the drug cartel business, know that that's gonna be my calling card. So someday you're gonna be like, oh, well, Beth had a whole bunch of drugs in what she said were filing cabinets, but you have to pick them up in full bee gear, so it just looks like you're a beekeeper. Just saying.
Okay, but wait, I feel like this has legs because first of all, your slogan can be like, "I get you buzzed." Okay, boom, done.
Okay,
easy.
Love. Yep.
And it's like easy marketing, right? You put like a little bee sticker somewhere, and it's like, ooh, I know where to get it.
Like, no,
okay, so be on the lookout for Beth's drugs. That's what's gonna be.
Ooh, business idea!
Yay! I'm gonna come up with my mission statement and vision. I'm gonna come up with this plan.
Okay, let's go corporations. Let's continue moving on from the B movie, and let's talk about James, the who ends up in the top and does I think how did she describe it in her walkthrough? It was like a comedy number meets an original song.
With like a little bit of a Broadway type twist to it. Yeah.
I was thoroughly entertained. I thought it was a lot of fun. There was nothing groundbreaking about it, but I loved the I knew what was coming, and I still loved when she would like do like the chest bump thing, and like the pit crew would fall away or whatever. But I think she was like, but I have these, like over and over. That was really funny. Yeah, I mean, I would not have personally put it in the top, or like the top two. I mean, I probably would have put that third or fourth, to be frank. But I would not have put it in the top two.
Yeah, I think now that I'm like coming down from like the high of her winning, because I love
Sorry.
I love James Mansfield, so I do have a bit of a soft spot for James. Yeah, I don't know if it deserved to win. It was thoroughly entertaining. I was chuckling. It was very, very funny, and obviously RuPaul just could get it. Like this, I've been saying it all season. This literally is the season of titties. Like between James and Jimbo, and then Jessica Wilde's coconuts lip sync. It's just nothing but breast.
All we needed was Ben de la Creme coming in with the tassel burlesque thing that she did for her. Yeah. Well, actually, that's and I hate to say it, but I actually I know that this was more of an original song with lyrics that James did, but I kind of was like, Ben de la Creme had a better titty-based, almost burlesque thing. So I think that's why I put it lower.
Yeah, it was fun. That's definitely towards the top for sure. Maybe fourth for me now that I'm really thinking about everything. Maybe third, because sometimes it can get kind of hard to be like, well, I prefer the titty number over Kasha Davis's. Like, it's like, we don't hear about none of that shit. Show me the titties.
Yeah, the world sucks, but tits.
It's like, Miss Kasha Davis, I would have listened to you. I would agree with you more if you had titties. Just saying. Like, it just feels so like...
Yeah, social justice rap versus titties. I mean...
You could have done
the titties.
Could you imagine if she had just been like, instead of pulling off her wig, she just was like, ah, like really shimmying like aggressively on stage, being like, the world sucks. Actually, I would have loved that.
Yeah, I was like, wait, again,
hold on. Yeah.
I thought James was fun. I probably would have put James third overall if I had to rank everybody. She stood out to me and someone who I remembered from her performance. And also, yeah, it was just so obviously so different from like Kasha, who I also really enjoyed. But I thought that both had a fun performance. Kahana was up next, and she has been very vocal about her cheer background and about how that was so important for her as she was growing up to have the cheer community and to be able to come out. And so she does I don't know. I wouldn't call it like a cheer routine per se, but does like one tumble and then some call and response kind of stuff. Beth is laughing.
That's just the way you said that was a little shady. She
what?
did one tumble.
Okay, I did expect more tumbling. I'm not gonna lie. I saw Matt and I was like, oh my God, yes. Because it was down the length of the runway.
Do you think this was a personal FU to James Mansfield, who, like, in season 9?
Cheerleading challenge, and, like, right after her, too.
I mean, would not be surprised. Yeah, but I mean, I feel like Kahana did more tumbling in both of the lip syncs in season 11, but even the one that sent her home, than she did in this entire
Agreed.
Right? Okay, I'm glad I'm not the only one.
And don't get me wrong,
feel a little muted.
The backflip, the tuck, like that's really impressive, right? But I did kind of feel like it looked messy too. Like I was like, is she gonna make? Oh, she made it. Okay. Like that's how it came across to me.
I think it was. I was nervous for her actually. I was like, oh my God, is she gonna make it all the way around? And I don't know if it's because tall. That and then her hair was also very long, so it looked like, I don't know, there was something about the length of the wig, like the ponytail, that made it look like maybe she wasn't gonna make it all the way.
Okay, but hear me out.
Yes.
Hear me out. She does a flip. But it's actually a wig reveal where you land on the wig, snatch it, other wig.
That would have been so cool.
That would have been.
Okay, instant first place if that had been the thing.
I enjoyed the call and response too. If anybody says when I say this, you say this, I am there.
I'm like,
saying,
yeah,
I know. It immediately gets me pumped. I don't know why. I'm like, yes, I want to be a participant. Let's do this. So that I liked as well. But I thought she was safe. Not bad, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was especially tough because she was followed by the Lala Ree experience, who, oh my God, was the immediate first place for me. Yep. Just commanded, owned. Her confidence is so hot, like so attractive. Like I was captivated.
So yeah, it's like if you're going to be doing lip syncs for your talent show, it's got to be something like this. Just the energy was there. The choreography was there. The intensity in her face was there. Like it was just each move was crisp. The wind was blowing in her hair. It was just she commanded the stage. She looked good. It was what you expect when it comes to shit like this. It was just so good.
It was so good. I just in my mind have like the leg move. With like just like her and all the backup. I am a big sucker like for everybody being in time doing the same thing. I don't care if it's cheerleading or dancing or whatever. Instantly something that looks really like, oh, one person doing it's like meh, but all of a sudden you add like 5 other people and they're all doing it at the same time. I'm like, it's so good. That was the moment. That was the moment that for me where she had like that kind of intense, like, yeah, I know you want it kind of face while her legs are kind of going akimbo. And I'm like, and I was freaking out. It was great. I loved it. I
like the idea of Beth being a hardcore synchronized swimming fan. She's like, they're doing it together.
Okay. You don't even know. I tried so hard when I was on the swim team in high school to be like, okay, who wants to try to come up with a synchronized swimming routine? And nobody joined me. So real sad.
Left alone. I think also for Lala, the inclusion of the RuPaul candy bars at the end is just such a smart, like strategic move, if that makes sense for Ru to be like, and I'm marketing you, girl. Like, look at me.
Oh yeah, speaking of RuPaul, I just realized that she was wearing the outfit that she wore for the season 15 promo.
Yep, finally we got to see that, and no wonder they chose it for the promo. She looks stunning. She was so good, amazing.
What was up with Michelle's cane?
Yeah, I was wondering, was that strictly just to emulate Debbie Allen, or is there something going on?
I don't know. All of a sudden, it looked like when she was like, when you know how like RuPaul would be like Michelle Visage, blah 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 blah. Right? She looked like she was leaning on her chair like this, and then when it came back to her, she had cane and she did this a few times, and I was like, "Is this?" Knowing Michelle was probably just like a fashion choice for the day, but I was like, "Is there something going on, or was there something going on a year ago?" I don't know.
It made me think like she maybe hurt her foot or something, and she just. It's like, no, Michelle.
And she's like, I'm going to be injured but slay, you know?
Right.
I was going to say, speaking of injured but slay. No, not true. Alexis is fine. She's fine. Especially because she has the conversation with Lala that seems to go like as best as anyone could expect. Where it took about 2 seconds where Alexis does apologize. Lala Ree says, look, I was upset. She is able to share her feelings, but life goes on, and then they start flirting. So that was all of 2 seconds in the episode.
Yeah. This was the first time I was like, oh my God, is Lala actually reciprocating these feelings?
Well, Lala's read for Alexis, which was hilarious, by the way, was she's a triple threat. She has gonorrhea in like her mouth, her ass, and
her dick.
And her dick, yeah. And I was like, oh, so you don't. So this is you saying like, no.
Yeah, it was like, what happened?
Yeah, or do you know this personally, or like
what happened in the hotel, girl?
Right. Okay, well,
yeah, it did make me feel better about everything. It was nice to hear Alexis, come on and be like, I'm sorry. Like, I did sort of like late, because like I said, like you guys had brought it up the moment that it happened. She did choose her words carefully. She never explicitly said that she was going to save her. But at the same time, my biggest thing was you sort of laid it on thick. Yeah. And so I was glad that she acknowledged, like, well, yeah, I was playing the game, but I didn't need to do all of that. So,
yeah. I wonder how much of it though was because it came to bite her in the ass by having Candy send her home.
Okay.
Yeah, the instant humility. Yeah.
She
karma.
said, I was thinking 3 days later. She says 3 days later. And I'm like, is that another cycle? Like, is that one more cycle? Right. Because we know it's not every week. I was like, so when you got eliminated and you were sitting in your hotel room and you were thinking about it.
See, that's so funny because when she said the 3 days later, I automatically assumed it was when she got eliminated for 3 days. She thought about it. And then I realized, oh no. You're completely right, Liana. So I think so. Just learn.
Well, Alexis does do something different for her talent show. She is singing live, and she sang live.
It was fine.
Yeah.
It was I love the outfit. I mean, she always looks amazing, but like, I mean, she did about 90% of a split as well. Didn't get all the way down there, but that's still like the slow doing that while you're singing live. That is impressive. But yeah, put her in a show.
I think it just needs like a little bit more like va va voom. Like it felt a little understated, a little muted. Obviously, she's talented. Obviously, she has a great voice. But I was like, I need you to pack that punch, like hit that note, give me more vibrato, give it to me. Like the reveal, like stop it can't be so as tepid, like flash the apple titties. You kind of just did, you know what I mean? Like I need you to hit it, you know? So yeah.
I also think she has, this is where my music nerddom comes in. I think she has just like a really hard range to sing with because she's very clearly a baritone. So it's not like she can hit a really low note and make that impressive, but I don't know if she can necessarily hit a really high note and make it impressive.
Right.
So you have to rely on everything else that you're doing physically as well. And like you said, Aman, I just didn't think it was punchy enough.
Yeah.
Jessica Wilde is the last of the eliminated queens to perform and also does a lip sync to her own song. It was just tough having Lala go before her.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest, because not that Jessica didn't do a great job, but just like you're naturally comparing in your head as the acts are going. And I just feel like because Lala slayed so hard, it was to match that is really difficult, even though I think Jessica did a great job.
I would make it rain on her, but I agree.
I think that Lala Ree's performance just had a little bit more energy throughout, whereas it feels like with Jessica, it had to like rev up to the grand finale of it all with the crazy head swirling. So yeah, while she did great the entire time, I feel like it just wasn't packing the same punch that Lala's did. So yeah, but I wonder how I would feel if Jessica had gone first. Like would I be a little bit more into it? But the confetti was fun. It was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun.
Yes.
I mean, I think she did amazing. And I don't think that it's not even like the energy wasn't there. I think that it was just like this, like Lala was just in her song. Like she felt it from the top of her head to like the tippy of her toe. Like it was very like she completely embodied the energy, the confidence, the sexuality, the everything, the show offness. And wasn't that Jessica was like hesitant at all, but it was a different energy. And one that required no I would just say no bones in the neck, apparently. I was the way I would be dizzy for like 10 days after that.
Yeah, that was wild.
And sore. Give me an ice pack
Jessica
immediately.
The hairography. So that does it for all of the Fame Game eligible contestants, but we did get bonus performances from Jimbo and Candy. So let's just briefly touch on those, especially because Jimbo's was so wackadoo. And
it was amazing.
If this was an actual talent show, like at the beginning of the season, they may have given the win to Jimbo here.
Yeah.
I thought Jimbo was the most creative. It was the most outgoing. Like it was so freaking funny. And I love that her like signature move is to pull food out of like her crotch. Like I didn't really care for the bologna thing as much as like Liana does, which by the way, Aman, you should look away because Liana has a special surprise.
Yes, Aman, close your eyes.
No.
It
has her face on it. It has her face on it. I know it does. It has like
okay. You can open your eyes.
Before you showed up, Aman, she was like, before Aman comes,
Before Aman comes, let me show you.
And I was like, it would have been a wonderful moment for Aman to show up right at that exact moment.
I hate it.
But it was so fun. Like the fact that she opens up her wig and there's clearly like a freezer full of smoke in there. I mean, it's incredible.
Just, like, billows out. I'm like, what is going on? And then like all of the noises that she's making,
pulls the banana out of her ass. Like, what is happening? It was so wacky and funny.
I'm like, you're like, one part of my brain is like, this is so stupid, but on the other side of me is I can't stop watching it. I'm just like, oh my God, Jimbo, again.
Yeah, it was so good.
Really funny. Just ridiculous, creative, super fun.
Yeah.
And Candy closes the show with an original song that was not her voice. Was that her voice?
No,
okay, that sounded not
voice.
Okay, all right, thank God, because I was like, I spent the whole time trying to figure out if that was Candy singing or not, because I was like, how did they edit this to make it not sound anything like her?
No, I'm fairly confident what she probably did was know that she has a lisp and that she probably had somebody else come on. Like, that's what my thought process is.
A ghost singer.
A ghost. Yeah. It's not even a ghost singer when you know it's not that person. You're like, okay. I didn't care for the song. I didn't really care for the choreography. I felt like out of all the other ones that we saw, like she was definitely behind Jessica and Lala and all that stuff. And I'm like,
very
girl,
safe.
if you're going to be in the top 2, you better be blowing my socks off. But
yeah,
she's
I know.
She's like condom safe.
She's life strides. That's not right. Life strides is something else. Isn't that a shoe?
I have no idea.
I don't know.
Lifestyles is what I was trying to come up with. Life strides, I'm fairly certain it's like a brand of shoe at Macy's that I was just looking at for weddings.
I guess you could wear them as shoes if you had to. They stretch.
They do.
Okay. Yeah, it was tough with Candy in the top 2 because then it was like, can I like swap?
Yeah.
Like even Jessica, just like
Jessica. Like,
yeah.
Anyway. All right. We've already talked about the lip sync. We've already talked about the winners. So let's just hop back and close things out by talking about the reading challenge, because we had been discussing this all season. When is the reading challenge going to happen? Apparently right now. We are going to wait and do it all in one episode, almost like a season. I mean, it was an episode 1 of an all-star season, just doing it at the end. So we got the inclusion of sort of all of those things. We mentioned a few of the reads. Lala's about Alexis's, I thought was really funny. The other one that I laughed at too was this is the only drag queen story hour that children protest, which was James's about.
That was great.
That was quite funny. Is there any other ones that y'all want to mention, or anything that you remember standing out during the reading challenge?
There was another one of Lala's that I liked. I'm trying to like scrub through the episode now to find it.
I knew Kasha was gonna win because she had the most reads, and I was like, It was like everyone got 2 or 3, and she had like 1 for every queen. I felt bad that Monica didn't get too many reads, at least in the edit, like towards her. Not that I'm like, yes, read that bitch, but I'm thinking like, if you come all the way back and then people can't even come up with reads for you, like that's actually kind of an insult.
Maybe they just weren't funny and they didn't show them.
Well, I think that's kind of my point, right? Is like, ooh, but I don't know. Jimbo had a really good read, and I can't remember what it is off the top of my head now.
She had one about Darien Lake. Is that the one that you're thinking of? Like Darien Swamp, 2 stumps and a swamp ass.
She's more like Darien Bog. That's what
Darien Bog, yeah. Alexis's read was just hitting on Lala, so consistency. We love that for her.
Why was she trying to do a Mae West voice the entire time?
Hey.
I don't understand, because none of the jokes were funny at the end of the day. Hey.
How many bones do you want? I liked Lala Ree's clap, but so like the Jessica Lala sort of back and forth, I thought was really funny. So Jessica's read about Lala was every Thursday I think about your fashion when I take out the trash, and then Lala clapped back saying I could make a dress with the bags under your eyes about Jessica. That interaction was really funny.
On the Roscoe's episode, Naisha said that, you know, she had been talking, like when we had all come back, she had been talking to Candy, and she was like, I was having like a serious moment with, because Candy and Jimbo were the guests, and she was like, I was having a serious moment with Candy. I was like being really vulnerable. I was like, you know what they call me, right? They call me Elimination Lopez. And she said that that Candy was like so sincere. She was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And then during the reading challenge, yes, they cut it out. Candy called her that.
That's iconic.
Oh my God, that's really
like,
funny.
oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like,
yeah, let me just write that down.
I'm gonna put it out there that while I was happy that Kasha Davis won, and I think that she had one that was kind of mean in there that everyone was.
Oh, Alexis's bald patch comment.
Yeah,
it was
the
like
landing pad
from the back.
Yeah, I was like, ooh. But I was expecting Darian to win this again because she's kind of like, she wrote most of the reads for the queens in season 6. Like anything that Jocelyn Fox said on season 6, she gave her all those reads. Like one night when she was cutting her hair in the hotel room.
Yeah,
apparently.
And Jimbo said, Jimbo wrote a lot of Candy's reads too. And then she was like, I guess they didn't. Jimbo said they didn't really show it, but like I had given Candy so many good reads that when I came to me, I kind of actually choked. Like a lot of my reads were bad, but they only showed the good ones. So,
speaking of Candy, the one moment that just made me laugh so hard. This is when Rue starts alluding to so this is at the very beginning of the episode when Candy and Jimbo are the only two there, and they had discussed a possible twist the night before. And so Rue comes in and starts alluding to the rest of the girls coming back that like, oh, it's so empty with just the two of you. Go back and look at Candy's face the entire time. She is so upset. She's so unamused because I assumingly she probably, like the rest of us, would
Candy unamused.
Unamused. Yeah, I know exactly. It's Candy unamused. That's her new name. And she just looks unhappy, and I totally understand why. I would be reacting exactly the same way, but I don't know why. Like in the background, just looking for her upset face. Oh,
also,
so
when I fell for this in the teaser, the queens will all be voting for who takes home the crown thing. I was like,
there's precedent for it, right? Look no further than All-Star season 3. So,
and I think that's why it was a joke, because they were like, just kidding. That was horrible. Oh man.
Never doing that again.
But even if they did, I really don't think too many queens would vote based off of voting, because I do think that like more than any other season, the queen that went home was the queen that mostly quote unquote deserved it.
Right.
I don't think like people were trying to be malicious or anything like that.
Yeah, I think no matter what, like Jimbo probably wins no matter what. Like it would have been fine.
Same. Well, and that's what we're going to find out next week. So we have one more episode for the finale. We're going to get the winner of the Fame Games crowned, and we're going to get the winner of the season crowned. It seems like they're going to be doing some sort of final performance thing where the eliminated queens will also be participating. So I think that that's going to be interesting to see. My assumption is it's not really going to factor in. They're going to both do fine. They're going to get a lot of positive critiques, and then ultimately we will probably see Jimbo crowned. If I was a betting woman, that's what I would pick. So we're going to find that out next week on our final episode of All Stars Season 8.
Yay.
Yeah, if Jimbo doesn't win, I'm going to gag. That would be such a
gag. If Jimbo, that's the thing is like, because I've also written it off in my head as Jimbo's going to win, that if anything else happens, I will be shocked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and not that I wasn't hearing what you guys were saying last week about how like there's so much more at play when it comes to the decision to save Jimbo over Jessica Wow for Candy. But hearing Candy talk about it at Roscoe, she was like, I know about a bunch of y'all have opinions about like what I should have done, but at the end of the day, like it's a drag race. It's a game within a game within a game within a game. I need to make sure that I'm going to be able to work after I leave this season. And I was just like, like, I agree, but I'm like, why does it have to be like this? That's so annoying. Like, but
I think maybe it's time to think, does this need to be a strategic thing? I don't know.
Or what do we do? Shake up the format? I mean, we know All-Star, well, the rumor is that All-Star Season 9 is going to be another non-elimination season. So similar to what we got with All Winners, some point system.
Man, this is the one that Naisha should have come back for.
I know.
No, damn. The elimination queen herself. You know, I really, from what I've been hearing about the cast, one queen that I'm really excited to see come back is going to be there, and it's a non-elimination season. I'm going to be so excited, but I don't want to spoil if people don't, want to know.
I don't know who the cast is rumored to be, so.
Yeah. Well, we'll find out next summer, I guess. So. All right, let's get out of here. Aman, what do you want to plug? Anything else you want to say?
I was just on the drafting podcast. We drafted Big Brother competitions, so check that out. Vote for my table. I think I'm table 4. I think, and yeah, that's it for now. All
right, Beth, what about you?
You can catch me on all my social media at AugustaWind11. This past week on My Weekly Meltdown, we did a Brant steal of Survivor Cagayan, but instead we had it all as social media platforms. It was an iconic season. Highly recommend y'all go back and watch that if you have some time. Just to put a highlight out there, OnlyFans is like an incredible player in the game. Goes head to head with Truth Social many times, and it's quite amazing. So definitely recommend if you have some time and you're interested in some additional content to RHAP to check out My Weekly Meltdown.
Oh my gosh, ridiculous. And I don't know, you can find me, just Google me or whatever if you want to follow me on social media. I'm like so disconnected right now. But what I would encourage you to do is leave star ratings and reviews for us on iTunes, robhaswebsite.com/Drag Race if you'd like to do so. Thank you to the whole RHAP team for all of their help behind the scenes. And we'll talk to y'all soon for one more episode. Bye.